Now, President Trump, for some reason, happens to believe that immigrant children, especially unaccompanied children, are a gigantic threat to America. Fascinating. Now, on Wednesday, President Trump and administration officials at a roundtable warned that unaccompanied migrant children are dangerous and will lead to more MS-13 crime. Fascinating. Now, he said specifically, quote, "We have the worst immigration laws of any country anywhere in the world." The worst. We have the worst out of any country in the world. Now, if you're meaning some of the most restrictive, then yeah, I would say kind of. But no, that's not what he means. He means the complete opposite. He thinks that they just flood in. That is actually not true. And it's actually incredibly ridiculous. But he says, quote, "They exploited the loopholes in our laws to enter the country as unaccompanied alien minors." He added, "They look so innocent. They're not innocent." Alien minors, right? That's how he refers to children. So immigrant children, unaccompanied minors, which can, obviously range in age from younger children to young teenagers, right? No, they're not children. They're alien minors. No, there's no dehumanization going on here at all. Now, he said the children are not innocent. They look innocent, but they're not innocent. I mean, what do the kids do? Look, you could say, well, they crossed the border. Well, that's a huge, huge crime. So they crossed the border in order to escape death in their home country. They risked their lives to come to America without any help. They faced abduction, they faced trafficking, and a very long and dangerous road, often alone, sometimes in groups. That's what the caravan was for. And they did so in order to have a chance at life. More than a chance that they had. I mean, who takes such an unimaginable risk to come to another country? Only people who are absolutely desperate do that. Desperate to get away from where they're at. From the crime, the poverty, and the government, the drug gangs. I mean, Jesus. When you think about the stuff that they went through, you can't help but have empathy. That is unless you're a conservative. That is unless you're somebody like Donald Trump, who says they're not innocent. They're not innocent at all. Oh, no, of course not. No. Look, there's a reason he says they're not innocent. It's because they're brown. And now, of course, like all immigrants coming from the South, they're tying these kids, the Trump administration is, into MS-13, the gang. Now, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein detailed a gang resurgence that he said witnessed firsthand as a U.S. attorney for Maryland. Wait, how close is Maryland to the border? Maryland's not a border state. Oh, no, I saw lots and lots of, I saw it firsthand, all these immigrant kids, these unaccompanied minors that became gang members. He said that rise was fueled by illegal immigration and particularly the challenge of unaccompanied minor children. How? Well, he says, well, once we release them, because we have to release them, or we had to release them at that time, because of catch and release, well, they never end up showing up to immigration court. So they go and they don't show up to court and they go and join gangs. Well, number one, they're children, they're sometimes young children, so they likely don't understand what the hell is going on, why they have to go up to court. Or maybe they do understand and they're afraid of being sent back after going through everything they went through just to get here, and then being murdered or trafficked when they decide to get, or when they get sent home, which is likely what the Trump administration exactly wants to do. Now, Rosenstein continues, we're letting in people who are creating problems. We're letting in people who are gang members. No, we're not. We're not letting in gang members. Nobody here. You could go to the biggest, bleeding heart liberal and ask them, hey, do you want gang members in the country? If you know they're a gang member, should they be allowed in the country? And I think 99% of them would say, no, of course not. No, we don't want gang members coming into the country. That's stupid. And look, a lot of those same liberals also support deporting gang members. Yes, if you have criminal or gang activity, yeah, you need to go, right? Sorry, you gotta go. Now, the thing is, and I covered this story probably last week, where the government, ICE agents, are now taking Dreamers and falsely attributing them to having gang activity in an effort to, of course, deport them. And they lie and make things up in court in order to try to do so. And they were caught red-handed doing that. And, of course, here's Rod Rosenstein basically making that same case, that same point. Oh, they're coming here and they're joining gangs. Now, as you're going to see, that is not the reality. But first, let me finish his quote. He said, we're letting in people who are vulnerable. Well, that's true. Because many of the migrant children lack families or a similar support system. But then he adds, they become vulnerable to gang recruitment. So, yeah, they don't have family, they don't have a support structure, so they're joining the gangs. Okay, well, if you don't want those kids to be recruited by gangs, then maybe we should have a support system in place for unaccompanied minors instead of sending them back home. Oh, but that actually involves being a decent fucking human being and helping out. And never mind. Maybe conservatives are right that they point out that we can't even help our own people. Of course, they use that argument to keep people out. Oh, we can't even take care of Americans, so we can't actually allow other people to come in here. Okay, so what are you going to do to help Americans? Absolutely fucking dick. Nothing. What, do you want us to help Americans? They're lazy. Go get a job. But you just said we can't bring in people because we don't help our Americans, and then you vote for people who vote against helping Americans. Well, yeah, that's the whole point. It's basically distraction, so we don't actually have to help anybody because we're selfish. Duh. Well, there you go. But anyway, let me give you some facts here about those unaccompanied minors and joining gangs, since that seems to be such a big concern, right? Now, according to federal statistics, from October of 2011 until June of last year, U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials arrested about 5,000 individuals with confirmed or suspected gang ties. Okay, look, as I said before, I don't have any problem with that. If you're part of a gang and if you're violent, then yes, you got to go. We don't want you here, right? Now, according to congressional testimony from the agency's acting chief, Carla Provost. Now, of that 5,000 figure, a total of 159 were unaccompanied minors that had come here from countries like Honduras and El Salvador, Central America. Now, according to her testimony, of that, 56 were suspected or confirmed to have ties with MS-13. Now, okay, that is 56 unaccompanied minors. Must be all criminals, right? Well, in that time frame, CBP apprehended about 250,000 unaccompanied minors. So, out of the 250,000 unaccompanied minors, they found 56 of them with confirmed or suspected gang ties. That's barely a blip. That is a tiny, minuscule percentage. But Rosenstein is like, no. The unaccompanied minors, gang activity. They're all going to the gangs. What are we going to do? They don't have support structures. Despite the vast majority of unaccompanied minors actually not joining gangs. But hey, look, facts don't matter. Reality doesn't matter. Only blind hatred matters. They're dangerous. Or if you ask Trump, they're animals. They're animals. In fact, Donald Trump doubles down on the animals thing. He said, quote, I called them animals the other day, and I was met with rebuke. They're people. Or they said they're people. They're not people. These are animals, and we have to be very, very tough. Now, of course, if I point that out, how that's wrong and dehumanizing, incredibly racist, now I'm going to get a couple of people that, oh my God, context, you're taking him out of context. He's not talking about immigrants in total. He's talking about MS-13. MS-13. No, they're talking about the unaccompanied minors. 56 out of 250,000 were found to have ties with MS-13. And even so, they're not animals. They are people. They are human beings. See, the problem here is when you start calling people animals. You start dehumanizing human beings. Now, why is that important? Because it makes it easier to do terrible things to them, right? That makes them more of a target because it actually does change something in your brain, in your perception of them, that allows you to, well, hey, look, you're not human anyway. You're not a real person. So I can throw you out. So I can kick you out. So I can demagogue you and not feel a goddamn thing. I don't care about your plight because to me, you're less than a person. That's what this is about. And look, what Trump is doing is he's calling children who are unaccompanied, fleeing from death, who are, the vast majority are just children that are going from a bad situation, right, to try to actually live and survive. He's calling them dangerous animals, despite the facts not backing any of that up. That is your context. You want to talk about context, that's your context, right? This is an effort to dehumanize kids. And, by the way, it's probably a distraction. So he's saying all this crazy stuff to, one, rile up his base, and two, probably distract from the Mueller investigation. And finally, look, remember with Trump, racism is not a bug, it's a feature. Donald Trump is wildly racist. He always has been. Maybe sort of low-key, but nonetheless, you look at how he's treated African-American tenants in his own building. How he took out a full-page ad in a newspaper calling for the death penalty for the Central Park Five. Those people who are racial minorities, the majority of them, were found innocent. Trump says, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I want to kill them anyway. Kill them, kill them, kill them. They are less than human. But they want to say that Trump's not a racist. Oh, because of Diamond and Silk. Give me a fucking break. Diamond and Silk are basically... okay, I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to say something terrible. But I think you get what I'm saying. Look, they say, a lot of Trump supporters, by the way, they'll claim that, oh no, Donald Trump, he's not a racist. He's not against immigration. No, he's not against legal immigrants. He's just against the undocumented illegal immigrants. No. Let me show you why that's not true. The Trump proposal, the good lot bill, right, that's going through Congress, it's the immigration bill, that Trump supported, would reduce legal immigration by 40%. They're coming after legal immigration. So, come on, man. Look, and don't forget, by the way, that his entire immigration plan is based on the Camp of the Saints. You remember when I talked about that book, right? Look, that book is basically it's called one of the most racist books in existence. This is where the plot line was, oh, we have immigrants that are invaders to Western society, led by a guy known as the Turd Eater, because he apparently, in the book, literally eats poop. But the hero of the story is a guy who kills immigrants and moderates and liberals, murders them, and tells them, oh no, I'm doing the right thing to protect the white race. No. This is pure racism, and it is sick. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.